Pixels are one kind of a quirky smartphones. They're not for everyone, especially those who seek to get the most out of a smartphone. Pixels skin has a couple of cool features like background music recognition or a dynamic widget, but there's also the annoying search bar on the home screen that you can't remove. The cameras are great, but often there are old sensors, and there are no true manual settings unless you have a Pro model, which is ridiculous. Daily performance is good, but it's paired with the mediocre chip that doesn't even match up to mid-range Qualcomm solutions, let alone flagships. And no surprise there, it's made by Samsung. Plus, there are often so many bugs it can drive you crazy. But if you want something on Android that will work well for many years, something not cluttered with unnecessary interface features that you would never consciously use, and a device you can update to the new Android version on the very first day, it's the one. And it's hard to find anything that matches this speed for everyday tasks at this price. Not so long ago I used the Pixel 8 Pro. It costs as much as a flagship and tries really hard to be one, but it struggles. The only thing saving the Pixel Pro over time is the fact that the price is going down. If you buy it on a sale, it's quite a decent device if you ignore possible software issues. But overall, all this Pixel concept, offering great performance and excellent cameras, but not about gaming or a powerful skin, it works much better in this A segment. Because it's much easier to tolerate usual Pixel flaws after you spend like twice less money. And Pixel 8a is actually the best Pixel today. At the end of the video I'll explain why, and why I think all reviewers are actually wrong. But don't think there isn't a catch. There's more than enough. The smartphone is not for the faint-hearted. I've spent a month with it and have plenty to tell. My name's Gene and I'm Gadget Bear. Let's get down to business. We Slavs like business. The biggest elephant in the room, quite literally, is the bezels. They are, how to put it, large. It's like using an iPhone XR today. And it's fine for like a 2018 device, but for a modern smartphone it's a bit embarrassing. Then there's that hideous chin. Somehow even budget Chinese brands have managed to make symmetrical bezels. Even nothing did it in this segment, but for one of the most expensive companies in the world, such innovative technology is apparently too expensive for this device. Actually, I'm sure this is done intentionally, and I'll explain why at the end of the video. There's also a second elephant, severe pulse width modulation. Screen pulses at a frequency that is not high enough to go completely unnoticed by your eyes. Usually with PWM you can tell it's bad after like 2 hours of usage. Your eyes get tired, but otherwise there's no visual indication. What was shocking here though is that I saw that flickering with my naked eye sometimes. Also regarding the screen, it's not very durable. I put the smartphone in a pocket with the Galaxy S24 Ultra one evening and the Galaxy was in a case. Now my Pixels display has a whole collection of scratches. Did Samsung get any? Of course not. To be honest, it's a phone that costs 2 to 3 times more, so no wonder. Just keep in mind that a protective screen or careful handling won't hurt with the 8A. Luckily, there are no waterfall screens here, so applying a screen protector is at least possible. These two things about the bezels and PWM will immediately deter the most sensitive users from even considering a Pixel 8a. Meanwhile, the reaction of the vast majority of real users to these drawbacks is, well, not that negative, and I tend to agree with those, especially since the screen itself is otherwise really good, with superb colors and brightness that goes up to 2000 nits at peak, the same as the regular Pixel 8, and it looks quite decent outdoors. You can see all the information you need. Of course, it pulses more badly than the S24 Ultra. The contrast, though, is oddly boosted in adaptive color mode, which would be perfect otherwise. Many might prefer the natural colors because of this. The sound, however, is a real drawback. The 8A tries to be loud, but in truly noisy places it's inaudible. At maximum volume the distortion is quite noticeable, and the phone even starts to vibrate at certain frequencies. The volume curve is also odd. The normal hearing level starts from about 3/4 of the maximum volume. But of course, the coolest feature of the 8A is the physical feel of it. It's tiny, often unnoticeable in your pocket. It feels amazing in hand, reminds you of the recent past when smartphones hadn't yet crossed the 6-inch display threshold. The design is overall great. The only exception, in my opinion, is the blue color, which looks kinda terrible to me. Black is the way to go. I love its distinctive look. It's immediately recognizable as a Pixel, and it's great to hold. Not just because it's small, but because Google resisted the trend of flat edges. At least for now. Ergonomics, even with the unusual power and volume button layout, works great and isn't annoying in this size. However, the 8A behaves like a dancer on ice on any surface, so better to use a case, in my opinion. My main beefs with previous A-series Pixels, besides PWM, were battery life over time and connectivity drops. And while I did notice connectivity drops a few times, literally the internet wouldn't work until you toggle airplane mode. I hope they'll fix it, but the battery has finally reached a decent level. You get the typical 6-7 hours of screen time, and thankfully you at least have that, since the 7A could drain battery in half a day, especially over time. If you don't use the phone much, it'll lose about 25 to 30% in a day, which is, I guess, also passable. It's time to talk about performance. Inside it has the same Tensor G3 as the regular 8 and 8 Pro. You definitely won't enjoy high-quality gaming on it, except maybe the basic time killers or games like Asphalt or Call of Duty. Of course, there's overheating and throttling, but Pixels in general aren't made for gaming, so this is just a point to mention. On the Pixel 8 Pro I encountered so many bugs, I faced issues like every day. However, in the month I used 8A, it only froze once and worked fine after restart. If we don't count a few connection drops, it was pretty much excellent, and there are two possibilities here. Either Google really refined their software for the new Tensor chip over 6 months and everything improved, or owning a Pixel is just a freaking lottery, and it's unclear whether your device will be glitchy. Why do I say this? Because when I look at other reviews, they mention glitches that I didn't experience. It's a paradoxical situation, and not the first time with a Pixel, in my experience. Yeah, in my case, everything with 8A was great. All apps launched quickly, and apart from the issues mentioned, there were no glitches and using the smartphone was a pure joy, but that was my experience. Considering the Pro version, many people mentioned they didn't have a single issue. It could be the exact opposite for you and the 8A. Potential buyers of any Pixel need to understand that to some extent, purchasing one is really like playing roulette. A single video won't give you a full perspective. It's better to watch everything you can find and then draw your conclusions. Finally, let's talk about the cameras. They have the same sensors as the 7A, so don't expect much difference in photos, but maybe that's for the best. Over the years, Google has so finely tuned its algorithms specifically for these lenses that many find the photos even better than those from the Pixel Pros, at least in good lighting. I would argue, as sometimes I noticed low saturation, bad dynamic range in contrasty scenes, and in dark conditions the algorithms can be really harsh, turning my beard gray much more early than nature would. But that's in comparison with flagships, and those are my trained eyes. Compared to everything else at this price, I doubt anything will reach this quality. And overall, the cameras are solidly above average. The portraits are delightful. The 2x zoom also looks great in most cases, despite it not being optical zoom, though it too falls apart at night. The front camera won't impress you much, but for the price, I guess it's okay. In terms of functionality and interface design, there are both pros and cons. There are no built-in shortcuts or separate secure space that don't require a couple of spare minutes to switch profiles. The buttons in the quick access panel are oddly big, brightness control is hidden behind a double swipe, and the player is far from intuitive, with very strangely placed buttons. You can't adjust the screen temperature, which would be helpful, considering these panels don't always hit the standard perfectly. Lock screen shortcuts, for some reason, are disabled by default, and there's an unremovable search panel on the home screen that can be quite annoying. Also, there are still no folders in the app menu. For those not paying close attention, folders in the app menu allow you to organize your application screen into folders for easier access. While most smartphones have this feature, it's notably absent here. However, there are good things such as face unlock using the front camera, not only for the phone itself, but for applications too, which now works more reliably than at the release of the Pixel 8 Pro. Now I'm happy most of the times, as I almost never need to use a fingerprint scanner. Of course, the phone won't unlock in complete darkness. Background music recognition and gesture support in the system are great, although the double tap still isn't perfect, but it's much better than it was at the Pro's launch. In general, there's a lot of uniqueness and many things that can't be customized, but there are also convenient features. It's a matter of habit. The interface is minimalistic, but don't expect extensive customization options. So, why would I consider the 8A the best Pixel today? Because really it offers like everything that the 7A already did. Yeah, but with a few key improvements. The battery behaves much better, the chip is more powerful, and importantly, the screen is brighter, and its refresh rate is at 120 Hz instead of 90. So, in comparison, it's a real step up. But what about compared to the standard Pixel 8? Things become pretty clear when you look at the official Pixel comparison page. The standard Pixel 8 has better cameras, including the front one, features macro capabilities, has smaller bezels, better water resistance with IP68 compared to IP67, and it supports reverse wireless charging. Is all of this important? In real life, not so much, and the price difference is obviously significant. And a lot of the extra money for these features, well, it only really makes sense for camera enthusiasts, and if that's the case, they should probably go for the Pro to get the 5x lens and manual settings with the high megapixel shooting. For its price, the 8A is simply the perfect choice for its niche audience. Buy it for family members so it doesn't glitch after 2 years and still performs well. Get a smartphone that takes decent photos and doesn't lag without spending a fortune. For enthusiasts to experience the latest Android on the first day, and for those who appreciate a nearly stock Android interface without unnecessary functions and pompous skins hogging all the RAM. The 8A does all this brilliantly. Yeah, you won't play high-end games or experience real flagship mobile photography miracles, but the cameras are quite decent, and you wouldn't get these even with the standard Pixel 8. Furthermore, in daily use they perform roughly the same, and honestly, once you get used to the large bezels, the smartphone feels in its performance, build, even haptics like a real flagship. The only things spoiling this impression are, besides the bezels, the subpar speakers and potential glitches. It really depends on your luck, if they are rare or frequent. That's precisely why such large bezels are, in my opinion, intentionally designed. With the standard Pixel 8, there are no significant improvements in user experience to justify it being so much more expensive. The cameras are decent on the 8A too. It also has 120 Hz refresh rate, the same screen brightness, chip, and now wireless charging too. The A series has become too good, and honestly, I don't see why their standard Pixel still exists. And for the potential buyers of the 8A, this is great news. Just remember all of the pros and cons before buying. Thanks for watching the video, hit the like button if you found it useful, subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss out on new videos. Now we'll go make some more from Slav with love. Take care, everyone.